Hello everyone, this is Kim Lei with A2Q2, and in this video we'll review the types of activities and the areas to document or do for a company preparing to be public or a SOX readiness initiative for the inventory process. So for those of you who are in the e-commerce or have hardware products that you're selling, this is for you. So what you see on top here in terms of the activities for inventory is assessing control gaps. So this is typically conducting interviews to understand from beginning to end how inventory is originally sourced and then received and gone through. And so documenting, identifying control gaps. Once you've done those interviews and identify it, you're going to document in either flowchart or narratives. Keep in mind that the regulators do not mandate flowcharts or narratives. You can do either one. As a management team, you have that discussion. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I've seen more and more emphasis from Big Four auditors to create flowcharts instead. And that change has come mostly because the PCAOB have required external auditors or have commented on external auditors creating flowcharts. And so that's why they have a preference for that. Once you've documented this, we would recommend and really do put together a listing of your key and non-key controls. This is what we call a risk control matrix or an RCM. And some companies actually skip the documentation and go to just the RCM itself. We recommend both so that you can see how this process works. And then conducting a walkthrough or a test of design, also known as TOD. The test of design is something we highly recommend, or a walkthrough is recommended, because often what people describe in words may not match up until you actually see what they do. So sharing their screen and showing how the transaction gets initiated, how it gets entered, how it gets reviewed and approved, how it gets into the books at the end, and finally disclosed. That's what the walkthrough is intended to do. We find that most of the time, by doing a walkthrough, there's much more refinement of the control activity itself, understanding maybe someone says that they're doing the review, but the level of precision or how detailed they do the review, until you actually see it, it's hard to describe. And finally, testing. This is definitely optional for a company that is preparing for an IPO. We typically do not see companies doing testing, not because they don't want to, but because they run out of time. And so now let's look at the sub-processes or the typical areas that we would recommend covering in the inventory process. So is the receiving. Oftentimes in the procure to pay or procurement process is we talk about sourcing, but here in inventory, receiving the inventory, doing a physical count of that's typically towards the end of a year of the annual physical count or cycle count. There is the receiving cutoff as well. Receiving cutoff, making sure from, especially at quarter end and year end, very important to make sure what has been received, what technically belongs to you based on Incoterms, has been recorded in the books. There's also the shipping cutoff. Shipments and shipping cutoff is important. So again, end of a year, end of a quarter, how much or what is shipped off, and whether it's based again on your this used to be what we call a FOB destination, FOB shipping point, or Incoterms. We would document that. And more now, third-party logistics inventory, or otherwise known as 3PL, which means third parties are holding inventory so that distribution can be streamlined or much faster for your customers. Documenting that process. If you have three third-party logistics providers and they're holding material amounts of your inventory. There's also the inventory accruals. So when you have receiving cutoff. Typically, you're receiving goods before you receive the invoices. So end of a year, end of a quarter, really important to document how you know your inventory accruals are complete and accurate. Your warranty reserves, if you offer warranty as part of your inventory, your excess and obsolete reserves. So anything around the reserves, high judgment, uh, cannot be precise because you're estimating estimates. That's going to be something your auditors really look at. And so having good understanding of the information that's coming to actually document and design that control is important. And then account reconciliations. Again, making sure if you're accruing something that the following period you are truing up to it or making sure it's accurate. Inventory reconciliations, purchase price variances, those types of accounts, making sure they're very clean and supportable. So those are the activities and the sub-processes that we highly recommend when you're preparing for a SOX readiness or a public company initiative. These are the activities to do. Thank you so much. Have a great day.